This is episode 77 of Art Talk. And today I have a conversation with artist Agnes Gomori. Agnes is, like me, a proud member of the VAA, which we both highly recommend, by the way. Right?
We do indeed.
And she is an intuitive, visionary artist who paints the unseen world. Welcome, Agnes. I'm really happy to have you as my guest.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
So I start with a quote. I did this at the beginning when I started my podcast. I used quotes of Leonardo da Vinci, one of my heroes. And I found one that I think would match your idea. So, the eye is the window of the human body through which the soul views and enjoys the beauties of the world. Because of it, the soul is content in its human prison. And without it, this prison is its torment. Leonardo da Vinci. So my first question is, can you relate to what Leonardo da Vinci wrote?
Oh my God, so much so. And I think something similar is in the Bible as well. I don't want to quote it wrongly, but I'm pretty sure something like the eyes are like the lamp, and the brighter it is, when you feel full of light, then your eyes are lighter, and then it's darker when you've done something bad or something similar. I don't know the quote, but yes, I very much believe it. So I heard it first time when I was a child. Definitely, it was almost like I could connect to it straight away, because even as a child, when I looked into people's eyes, you could sense it, because you're still, you're very innocent. You could sense if someone has good intentions or not, right? Especially for us, like you and I, we are empaths. We could totally pick it up.
Yeah.
And so also there were, I remember people who, I can't even look into their eyes, but also the magic when you look into someone's eyes, and including animals as well. In fact, yesterday at the exhibition, I looked at someone brought in their little dog, tiny little dog. And I'm not kidding, the eyes of that little dog, I just, the love, and I just spoke to that little dog, oh, you're so loved, and thank you so much for being here. And we connected. We connected straight away. I love these energy exchanges. Yeah. So yes, very much so. I believe in that. Yes. Eyes are important.
Wonderful. Yeah. Yeah. Animals are close. They are in the now. And we can learn from that, because we are always rehashing the past and trying to find something in the future that isn't there. Well, but you were born a natural healer. And with your paintings, you can see what others do not see. Is what you paint healing because you let people see again, like the window of the soul? So the life in the human prison is bearable again? Is that the healing you mean when you paint?
Partly, yes, but also it's the messages that I channel, which are sometimes they come across as really urgent messages that I need to then draw and paint, and they're mostly about unity, about inclusivity, togetherness, and no matter how sugary it sounds, but love. Love as in not just a romantic love, but love to another human being. And again, getting back to animals or plants, anything living, even stones. I mean, I got my little stones.
Oh, yeah, I have them too. Yeah.
Because they have energy as well, obviously, crystals, like as we know.
Yeah.
So in a way, yes, but I find when someone is maybe very much tormented, they would need time to understand, because they're so disconnected from the soul. And this is why, of course, they don't have the light in their eyes, right?
Yeah.
It was interesting to see at the recent exhibition how people connected with my art. And I love that from the elderly to the younger people as well, they just stood there and talk about it. That's just really rewarding when you experience that.
How do younger people, like children, react to your
Younger, sorry,
work?
not children, and that would be maybe that, hopefully that as well, but younger as in compared to me. So
Oh,
like
okay.
early 20s,
Yeah,
early
but I
20s,
think
like kind of uni students, kind of like.
yeah.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
have you seen children react to your work, and how is
Actually,
that?
Oh, that's a very good question. Actually, I don't think I have shown it to children, but now that I'm gonna go home for Christmas, I make sure that within the family, maybe I'm gonna show one or two. That's interesting question. I'm
Yeah,
gonna
because,
report back on that, Karen.
yeah, because children are so honest.
Yes, they are.
And children are still at the roots, and they are close to source. It's what I always say. So they feel that. And
Having
they're
said that, if we can't children as in they're kind of like teenager 13 and 14, 15, they seen it and they liked it, so I suppose
Mhm,
that's a good feedback already, but smaller
mhm.
children I don't think I have shown them yet, but yeah, good tip.
It's always nice to know.
Yes.
I know because I had my open weekend here and I had
Mm-hmm.
children.
Mm.
6, one
Mm-hmm.
was about 9, 10, and one was, no, 14,
Mm-hmm.
15.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and the way they observe
Mm-hmm.
and were staring at the portraits and what they see, and then the oldest one, he stood there and he said, "Can I say something?" I said, "Yeah, of course.
Mm-hmm.
You are really a good painter."
And yes you are.
And it is just so, no, but they're so, if
Yes, of course,
they
they're not
wouldn't like it, they
sugarcoating.
would say,
Totally,
"I
absolutely, yes,
absolutely hate
they're
this."
not sugarcoating, that is for sure, yes,
Yeah,
yeah.
and that's what I
Mm.
love about children. So it
Indeed,
is,
yes, and they can totally sense our energy, can they? Whenever I'm out and about, children and dogs, they always come up to me, and we have this like little like again like eye contact. I
yeah,
love that, and then we can
yeah,
just sense that connected
yeah,
on that level.
yeah.
It's lovely. Mm.
Between the questions, a sub question.
Mhm.
Do you, as an empath, also feel, because I have that, the energies of
Yeah.
other people when you are around them or when they are around you, and when you
Oh yeah,
can you feel when they have pain, for instance?
yes, I do. I do. I even pick it up over the phone. So
Mm,
even if I speak to someone, with the with the client or friends, of course, friends and family, obviously because they're friends, but even like a relative stranger, or I can pick it up. And I actually had to learn how to shield myself, because after a while it can be, we put on too much on
yeah,
ourselves
yeah,
and it
yeah, yeah, yeah,
heavier, heavier, heavier,
yeah,
and
yeah,
yeah. So
exactly.
mm.
Yeah, I know. I can
In fact,
relate.
now that you asked, I just had a long conversation over the weekend in the exhibition, a couple of conversations instead. In fact, when I picked it up and straight away I went in there, this is why you feel like that, this is what you need to do. Because I love motivating people. That's one of my things, especially
Mhm.
creatives. And I think there's nothing worse when someone has the talent, the gift, and they're not using it. Right. So that's one of my life mission for sure, to motivate and to come on, you can do it. And, this is why you were giving this gift. Use it.
Well, I think we are all creators, and the
Yes,
creation is in our heart. That doesn't mean you need to be an artist as
I
I'm an
understand.
artist or you an
Of
artist.
course.
You
Of
can be
course.
creative in so many ways.
Absolutely. Yes.
And I think that's important.
Hmm.
That needs to be encouraged. And it
Yes.
isn't in the world
Yes.
right now.
Yes.
It's on the contrary. It is not encouraged at all. So,
Yes. This is why you need to be in a place when you're surrounded by people. You need to make a but this is why I moved to London anyway. To surround myself with people, and I wanted to be with international people. I just, even though as a younger person I felt that I need to be exposed to different cultures, different religions. I want to have this unity. I know, again, it's sorry if it sounds naive to anyone, but this is what I believe. Yeah, peace
and it's
and unity.
not naive.
Mm,
No. I
mm,
mean, I don't know if you know, but I made this series in 2022, and Black queer role models painting for unity. Because if we do not, and the unity goes further than that,
mm,
because we are the planet. We're
yeah.
not just connected with it, but we are the planet. Going back to you and visionary, because when I read visionary, my first thought
Mm-hmm,
is a look in the possible future.
mm-hmm,
But you paint, for what I've seen, about past lives. So how do these past lives help with the possible future? Because the future doesn't exist, the past has been, and we live in the now, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So I do paint past life. I did a series on past life. Some of them are me in past life, in previous lives, which is like half fun, half not fun. So I deliberately made myself look a bit like, like half silly, but it's true. They are all sort of my past life. We had so many, you and I, that's for sure. But because it's such a so much present in my life, I've met with so many people that we straight away knew that this connection is past life related. It's for me, it's not a case of, oh, I need to like meditate and go back. It's just there. It's just this instant connection. And in terms of the visionary, I the way I describe it, for me, what it means is I'm able to access this other realm, and because I'm doing it for so long now, especially actually since the pandemic, because I could quiet my mind for the first time in many years, I developed the connection. No, because when you work and in London, you do the commute, it's like really not good for sensitive souls like us.
No,
So since
no.
that was cut out, and I had the quietness and the garden, and I could be with my own thoughts. It just jumped up in terms of the quality and in terms of how quick I can connect and then see these visionary pictures. But also when I go out on my walk, I can just take pictures of nature. It could be the clouds, it could be trees, and then I create this visionary story. I can see the story, so I need to rush home, and then I start to do so I remember it.
Yeah.
But sometimes they're changing. That's their prerogative to change. They appear. So many souls, energies appear, and one of my rule is that I only allow good energies in. So if some spirit or they want to come across it a bit grumpy, then I make sure that I'm gonna override your face and make it a smiley one, because you need to smile. Happiness. Yeah, so it is things like
I love that.
yeah.
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 I love that because I
Mm.
remember that I was in a course and the woman was standing in a house, but behind her were trees, and I could see the spirit guides in the trees. I could see them. They were in the trees, and I couldn't paint them because they were spirit guides. They wouldn't let
Yes,
themselves be
I
painted.
understand. Yes. Yeah. Not the
Because they
spirit.
were not my spirit guides. It was
Yes, exactly. Yeah, exactly. And we need to respect that totally. We can't just
yeah.
so
But
look
I
back.
saw it. She didn't see it.
Yes, but this
That
is
to me is weird.
I
Yeah,
know, because that's
I
your
see it.
reality.
Look.
Yeah, exactly. But this is it. This is it. This is why it's important that to make the conscious decision to surround yourself with people who understand. So you don't think that it's just you and you think that, oh my God, it's my imagination? No, it's not. And the more and more you talk about it, the more and more people come into your life. Yeah, I
Yeah,
experienced it. Yeah, I
yeah,
experienced it. And
yeah,
it's a beautiful, beautiful
yeah,
feeling.
yeah.
Mm.
I think a lot of people experience things that they can't explain, but as soon as you talk about it, they have like, yeah, I
Yeah.
think I also had something.
Yes, exactly. And you know what? Even like the most unexpected situations, such as, I'm an Uber driver, we talk about it, and then just, and then, his face lightens up, and then, yes, I experienced it as well. And that's amazing. Anywhere, it can happen anywhere, even in local Sainsbury's, whatever. I love it.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm very intuitive.
Hmm.
And when in flow,
Hmm.
that's in my happy place in studio, I channel what I need to paint in a portrait, for instance. And afterward, I can look back and think like, did I do that? And by the way, not only artists who has this, I know musicians who have this too. And I had this also when on stage giving a concert.
Yeah.
Can you explain to the listeners how your visionary or channeling works? You
Hmm.
gave a little bit, just I see images and then I have to rush home to But how does it work? Is it something that just pops up like with me? Are you in flow when it happens?
Oh, totally. I'm in flow. But there are two ways I'm doing it. So one of them is, for instance, these so-called, I call them urgent messages that I feel I need to capture. The other one is, let's say, if I'm doing a reading for someone, I'm doing energy cleansing, reading, and channeling their spirit guides, and then I do the artwork. Then it's a much slower and much more conscious, kind of like a meditative state where I'm going in. So two different ways. But as I said, because it's so much part of my everyday life, I can't even imagine having even one day, and they can appear anytime, like I'm having a breakfast or a coffee, and then, oh, so and so is here, okay, and there's a message. Then I used to write by hand because I would feel that the energy is better.
And that's
But
true.
sometimes, the messages are so quick. Oh, I'll just open up my laptop and just quickly type it up.
Oh God. Well, then you can type. I can't. I still do that with 2 fingers. So when I need, my pen is quicker.
Yeah,
but the morning pages are good for it.
Oh yes,
because then your brain is still in this alpha state, and you start writing.
Yes.
And I don't know if that works with you, but sometimes about situations also in the world, I can be so, maybe it's like I can't do anything with it, and I feel the energy, shifting energies at the moment, and I'm angry, and I start to write why I'm angry. Why is this? And then suddenly the whole thing starts to shift. And it is as if I don't do that myself, but it starts to shift.
Yes.
And I get answers like why and why it's needed and blah, blah, blah. And have like, okay.
I'm with you on that 100%. When you write it out, it just disappears. But the other thing what I also do is I go for a walk, and then I speak to my spirit guides in the meantime. So like try not to speak out loud, because it would look funny that I'm just walking and talking to myself, but I'm having the conversations, and then they telling me that, okay, this is why it happened and this is what you need to do. Sometimes just like, just to chill and walk it out. They're just telling me that, okay, now go for a walk because you were sitting too much. Actually, I have different spirit guides for different things. One is actually responsible for me to have fun, because sometimes I'm just so serious and so like, even if I'm in the flow and I'm working on it for hours, the artwork, but you need to just stop a little bit and just change the position and go out. And so one of them is responsible for that, for instance. So one of them is protecting me. And like you mentioned before, that the spirit guides you, so they didn't want you to paint them, or sometimes they don't even want to tell their names. I'm the same, that I'm not telling my spirit guides names to others. Friends even asking, I said, no, I guess it's personal. So so these are things we need to respect, I feel.
Yeah, very much. Very much. And talking about automatic writing, is your painting also automatic?
Oh yes. So yes, it is very much automatic. So it's like sometimes it's changing completely. Like I have like a scene in my head, but again, the head is probably the logical, part of it's logical, because I can see that, oh, I need to go home and capture this scene. And then I start to draw it, start to work on it. And then it's just, actually, no, this is going to move there, and this is going to be a woman, and this is going to be a dog, and then this is going to be like, I don't know, anything else, something else. So in fact, it's quite often it's changing a lot, but it is automatic and it is intuitive. And I think it's so wonderful that since I started to be open about it, how I do this, I met with so many other artists, like yourself and other artists as well, who also channeling their artworks. And it's just so amazing, because before that I thought, oh, how do I explain it to people? People saying that I'm or whatever. And it's just lovely that, yes, she's doing it, he's doing it. It's like the big consciousness, and then we download this information, right?
Yeah.
Whatever we
But
need.
it is true, it is true. And I always tell you, I paint portraits as a story, because I paint the portraits as a story. Because I take the beauty of their soul comes out, something they don't see anymore. It is, and my latest commission, I did this with an older man, almost 90 years old. who has autism and doesn't see him. His daughter said, yeah, he can't see himself as a whole. But I had the most wonderful conversations with him.
God bless.
And he had a humor. I really laughed so hard with him, really. So yeah, and that is that's a whole different thing than just copying a photo from somewhere and fill it in.
Absolutely.
That's why I always say it is spiritual, or yeah, and people say that's woo-woo. No, it's not woo-woo, it's who we are.
Yeah, exactly.
The other thing, not treating it the way it is, that's woo-woo.
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
that's denying a part that is most important for us. And
not anymore. I'm not do that anymore. I used to do that, conditioned by society, by, society which leads by the logical mind, as opposed to leading with the very essence of who we are, or spiritual self. And
well, I read a very important
heart.
book about that by Dr. E. McGilchrist, The Master and His Emissary, and he writes about how our right hemisphere is the master and the left is the servant. But we have turned it around for decades. And he says most people have a damaged right hemisphere. And that's what you see in society.
Yes. So I think we're talking about hundreds of years, not decades.
Yeah. That started already. That started already around Plato.
Yeah.
So yeah. So I read on your website about a work that brought two souls back together again.
Yes.
I found that so lovely.
Yeah. Thank you.
Have you experienced this when making work for people? That you somehow notice they need to reconnect? Is that how it works? You or is this one of those urgent messages that you have to?
Yeah, it was actually that was again a totally unplanned thing, but it's something that I experienced in my life again and again and again. Not only in my romantic relationships when we were in love with each other, but also with friendships, or even with colleagues that we meant to meet. It's like past life related, and it's this beautiful, uncomplicated relationships, which even that we move somewhere else, or the romantic relationship finished, but it's still there is a respect for each other, and then yes, it's everyone should experience it because it's beautiful, and I think the reason it happens because either you had some unfinished business and you need to meet again, or because it was just so beautiful, and then and then you just need to do it again and again and again. So sometimes you just meet again in another life, but sometimes you finish it in this life. It happened with me that I knew that in this life we finished it and that's it, and this is why we had to meet again. But also,
do you remember past lives yourself?
Do I remember past life?
Yeah.
Yes. Not like remember. It might not be the right word for it, because otherwise that would be too overwhelming to remember, because there's so many bad things as well.
Yeah, because Abraham Hicks says you can't remember if you're an old soul, but you can't remember your past lives.
No. But I can go into it, and sometimes it's like almost like it's flashing up things, and that could be with certain people. Just over the weekend, I happened to meet with someone who straight away we knew, and without going to deep, long, the small talk, we just knew that, okay, it's past life. And we also said it was in this and this country. I'm not going to say it because out of respect for, and then we also said, okay, you were in this position, I was in this position, that was the relationship. And that was just wonderful.
And is that something that you then paint for yourself, maybe?
Now, the picture what you saw on the website, I think it was half channeled, but half for me as well. So probably I needed that in that.
No, but I mean something that that happened last a few days ago.
Yes, sorry. Yeah.
Is that for you something that you need to paint then?
Oh, I see. It's really interesting because it's totally fresh. So it literally just happened over the weekend, and that's a different type of, it could be one of those projects which evolves over the time, as opposed to the urgent messages that I channel from above. So this is what I meant, that some of them, I need to get into a slower, almost meditative state. And if I feel that I need to let it out, it's going to become a piece of artwork. But sometimes I write about it, or sing about it, or write a song about it, or poetry. So that can happen as well. So that's the difference between the urgent message and this kind of encounters.
What can grow over time.
Yeah, that can yes, exactly. Yes, I revisit it, and then I feel like, okay, now I'm ready to sit down and do something with this feeling. Yeah.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
So how does this work for them in real life? Do you find that person back somehow as an old soul empath? I know this happens, not always in a way that it has a particular happy ending. Can you explain how it works? Because I know I had the experience.
Yeah.
I have the experience. But I just out of nowhere, and I had like, how is this possible? How does this work? Do you see it coming, or is it just as much?
You know what?
And some like, oh my God.
It's interesting, because I could feel, for instance, that I'm gonna meet someone significant in this sense at this exhibition. So I knew that, but I didn't know in what capacity. I also knew that it's gonna be a different gender from me, and I also knew that so I knew that it's gonna be something significant for both of us. But I quite like it when it just happens, as you said, and you don't need to explain. I think that's the beauty of it, when you look into each other's eyes, look into each other, and then you just, it really feels like your old friends. It's again like another cliche, but it's so true. And then just stays with you for your whole life. If it's friendship, or even, as I said, with romantic relationships as well, even though if it's ended, but there's this, it's not like, oh, not one of those ending where you hate each other. That you just realize that, okay, that was it, and that's beautiful, and moving on.
Yeah.
But you have to have some sort of maturity, of course. When I was younger, it wasn't like, I was quite, like, quite, but then these people, they are in your life, so they're coming back, and then you go back, not romantically, but like just as friends, and it's just nice to have this respect for each other. So that's what I mean.
Yeah. And I noticed you work digitally.
Yes.
And maybe a silly question, but art, especially painted art, vibrates high because of the energy that goes from us in the canvas, straight on the canvas. And this is tested, by the way, by Dr. David Hawkins in Power versus Force. With digital work, the vibration is not as high as with drawing or painting on paper or canvas. How does this then work if you use your intuition and paint it digitally? And when printed, do you feel the different energy yourself? Or maybe is it too close?
No, actually,
because you painted it.
Both. It's probably too close, but if I'm really, it's a really good question. Obviously, I think I mentioned it for instance, when I write in my hand, I can also feel that the energy is different. Therefore, of course, if I paint and draw directly to the paper on canvas, it's different. But I transitioned into digital because during pandemic, it was lack of space, and I like the freedom. I can just take my laptop, and then I can just do it anywhere where I want to do it. It gives my mind this freedom, this flexibility, that I can just open up the artwork what I started on an e-canvas. Actually, this is what I use, and so I can use it as a pen, or as a so. But yes, it's definitely, and when I print it, I can feel that it's different. So that for next year, 2024, I would like to do and start to paint again, like on canvas. It was simply the space issue what I have in London. It's a small London flat, It's a garden flat, but it's very small, and I need space. Otherwise, I would be like so stressed. So I don't have a studio at the moment. I will. No, not have it now. I will.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I know, because I have when I was in Hornchurch, no, that was a room, so I painted there. And I just lived in my studio for myself. And then I had Brentwood was different because I had 2 rooms. I lived there as a guardian, and it was an old care home. So I had 2 very large rooms, and there was one very big room, and I was allowed to use that as my studio. And just at a moment I inhabited that and to use it as my studio, the building was sold, and we had to move out. So then I came in Croydon, and 40 square meter, but I had only the living room, and I tried to paint 100 by 100 centimeter painting in the living room. So I really had to squeeze myself in, and then I just opened the doors, placed it in and so that I could take the distance.
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah.
But I was grateful that I could live there, and that I did it anyway. But it was, and now I have a studio, so I can take the distance.
Perfect.
And if I do not have the distance enough, I put it here in the room, and that's big enough, and I really have distance. So
good. Perfect.
But yeah, that's what you need. But yeah, because I try digital, and I don't like it. I
No,
need the paint. I need
of course.
paper, and
Of
so.
course.
But I understand. But I
Yeah.
also feel the different energy. The different energy,
of course.
that comes of it. Whereas painting is, yeah.
It's interesting because quite a few people asking me that, oh, are you thinking of changing, and using a different medium, such as, painting on canvas? And so I think it's a message from the universe that, hey, come on, and, let's switch. So I'm feeling ready for it. And the paintings, what I do, they still have energy, but I totally get what you say, that it must be, obviously, when you do it with your hand and it's not a printed one, obviously it has a much stronger energy. So yeah, I'm with you on that. Yes.
And you use your 6th sense, and you're not the only one. We already had that, but you do it specifically. I mean, that is your art about. And that is, to me, interesting, because I do it, but my art is not about that. Your art is about that. And so obviously you have developed it into a stronger and stronger 6th sense. But all people have that 6th sense at birth already. So what tips would you give artists if they would like to develop it, to gain more depth into their work? What would you advise them to get that sense back?
Yes. Well, my first advice would be to quiet their minds, because as I mentioned a few minutes before, during pandemic, when the first time I experienced proper silence, that I could just reconnect so much more easier, that it surprised me how easy it is when you don't have the madness around you. I know it's not possible for everyone because of, children or whatever, but we all have a few minutes at least a day when we can take time for ourselves, and it's not selfish, it's self-care, and connect with ourselves. And when you do that every day, or even if just like 3-4 times a week, you're gonna be feeling much better and much more connected to yourself, much more centered. The other thing I do is, and recommend, is to be out in nature, to feel grounded. It's so important to be out in nature. And the third one, for me at least, it really works: laughter. Laugh every day, watch something funny, and listen to funny things, and laughter, nature, and quiet your mind, meditation, and then you can connect with who you really are. Yes.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
I wholeheartedly agree with you. Yeah.
Thank you.
Where can people find you?
So my Instagram handle is at Art Gomori, and my website is agnesgomori.com.
Okay. Instagram?
Instagram,
Facebook?
Yes, Instagram. I just said it's Art Gomori.
Okay, yeah,
Yes.
I will place that all in the show notes.
Oh, thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you so much for
Thank you
being
so
here
much
with me.
Thank you for the opportunity. Really, thank you.
You're very welcome.